Hello! This is a video being made in preparation for the launch of the Ordinary brand being in House of Fraser. Now, a while ago, probably about a month or so ago, I noticed that House of Fraser had opened a Ordinary section in the Oxford Street store in London. Now, I thought that was just because they already have a store in Shoreditch in London. But I found out through a blog, Beauty and the Boy, you should go and have a wee look at his blog, he's very, very good. Through his blog that actually they're going to be opening Ordinary counters in House of Fraser in Glasgow as well, which I found very exciting because at the moment I've been using the Ordinary since the start of April, so about just under 8 months, and I love going on and seeing what they've got online, but I am not an avid online shopper. I do like to shop online, but I much prefer to go in store, be able to touch things, smell things, be it clothes, makeup, skincare, anything like that. I like to go and see it in real life before I spend money on it. So I kind of took a gamble, and I think given the hype that The Ordinary has had from different magazines and bloggers and the beauty market, I think it was quite a safe gamble to take. But sometimes these things are overhyped and you're not very sure whether it's going to be any good or not. So I'm making this video today basically to show you what I've bought, what I've been using since April, what I've loved, and maybe things that haven't really been for me, so I've gave them a miss. The whole ethos of the Ordinary brand is that the product's ordinary. It's just the active ingredients that are in the products. The oil just smells like oil, which maybe some people would find a bit off-putting, not that luxurious, but there's no fragrance, there's no colour put in, it's just the active ingredients themselves, and that's why they're called the Ordinary. So therefore, that's why they can charge less money to actually sell the product, because they don't have to put all these additives in to make it seem nicer and smell luxurious or smoother and things like that. Again, it's your personal taste. You might absolutely love the fact that the retinol you use is got a nice floral scent to it, or the cream it's in is like butter and things like that. I personally think if it's making the change to my skin, then that's what I'm going to use it for. So on my first order, I tried the Retinoid 2%. I also tried a serum that they have called the Buffet. I think the Buffet is, or was at least, one of their most expensive items, and it still was under £15. So this brand, in relation to skincare, and given how nicely presented and how nicely they've done their PR and marketing, is relatively affordable. I also tried the natural moisturising factors, and I got the hyaluronic acid 5%. Most of the serums and retinols and things like that come in these little pipette bottles. They're really quite nice, I think, glass little bottles, and as I say, their marketing and things like that have done a really fantastic job at selling the brand to us. The retinol and a couple other things come in these little brown ones, and that's just because they can't be in direct sunlight. So what were my thoughts on my first order? On my first order, I loved the Advanced Retinoid and used it every night. I did use up what other brand I was using in the meantime, but then went to reorder the Advanced Retinoid. The hyaluronic acid, I didn't dislike it. There was no scope for me to really use it. I use a moisturiser with hyaluronic acid in it already, with SPS also. So therefore I didn't feel any need to be using this all the time. But sometimes when I was around the house and maybe I'd done a face mask, I'd put this on after, or maybe if I was just around the house not going to put any makeup on, or a full skincare routine, just a basic wash your face and put some moisturiser on, I would put this on in between it. What I did find with this though is the company La Roche-Posay do an eye cream, and all it says on the eye cream is, along the bottom, it's in French, it says hyaluronic acid. Hyaluron acid must obviously mean hyaluronic acid. And what I found was, I've not looked at the exact ingredients, but texture, how it looks, how it feels is exactly the same. So what I did start to use this for was round about the eyes, because the La Roche-Posay one was quite expensive, and as far as I could tell, in very layman's terms, it looked like the same texture and the same product. It was going to do the same thing. So that's what I started to use this up for. Would I purchase it again? I'm not entirely sure I would. The only reason being that I use moisturisers and products with hyaluronic acid in it. I'm not entirely sure I needed a separate one. If you just use a normal SPF without anything like that in it, I think, and I've seen the Pixie Woo's channel mention this, and I'm not entirely sure if it's true, but you can add drops into your moisturiser and then use it that way as well. So it's kind of, have a really expensive fancy SPF moisturiser that you use, buy this for under £10, drop it in, hyaluronic acid. I got a serum from them, which is a peptide serum called the Buffet, and it visibly targets surface rehydration, fine lines, wrinkles, dynamic lines, whatever dynamic lines are, and textural irregularities. The reason I got this is because I've read about peptides being incredibly good for your skincare routine, and I thought I could incorporate it into mine. It says to apply AM and PM. I only apply this in the morning because in the evening I'm putting the retinol on, and I don't want too much stuff on my face when I go to bed at night, because I also put on quite a heavy moisturiser and an oil before I go to my bed. So this I have repurchased also, the Buffet. And again, I think this is one of their more expensive products, and it's still under £15. So you can't quibble with that. So in my first order, I also got the Natural Moisturising Factors with HA. Now, it doesn't actually say on this packet, but I thought, well, that must be hyaluronic acid, so that's got that in it. But it doesn't have a percent, it doesn't say how much is in it. And I got this thinking, oh well, if I'm going to try the Ordinary skincare through and through, I'm going to use everything skincare for their products to see exactly what everything was like, and I'm going to do that for a month. Now, I did do that for a month solid, just to see what that was like, and since then I have put it, like, slotted in what I've liked from the brand into my skincare. I don't solely use the Ordinary as my skincare. What I found was, though, that the moisturiser, this is it here, the moisturiser I found wasn't thick enough for my skin. I've got quite dry skin. I get oily around the kind of obvious areas round about the nose. That's it really. I don't particularly get oily here. Actually very dry under here, and that's where I need to put the most hydration. I get quite dry round about the mouth here and under here, and especially across my forehead. So for me, I use a really thick, heavy moisturiser at night time and during the daytime. I let it sink in a good while before if I'm going to put makeup on, but this for me was not heavy enough. So what I've been doing with this lately has been incorporating it into my night routine as well, because I'm using an oil and the retinol. It's not quite as heavy as the one I was using, but just to get it used up. I probably wouldn't purchase this again. Just for me, for my skin type, it wasn't heavy enough, it wasn't moisturising enough. And the other thing I found was, when I was using it for the first month, there's no SPF in this, and I know that the Ordinary are going to launch SPF as a range, but they've not quite got around to it yet, and I, during the day, like to wear moisturiser with SPF in it. When I work 12 and a half hours, sometimes 13, depending on when you get away, and I am going to be indoors for all those 12 and a half hours. So if I'm going to work, I won't tend to use my moisturiser with SPF in it, because there's absolutely no point. And this I could then use, but I also work in a hospital which dries your skin out, and this just wasn't enough for me. But that's that. Once I'd kind of sussed them out and decided what I liked, I went on to repurchase the Buffet. That's the second one I got. The Advanced Retinoid. And then I ordered, also to incorporate into my skin routine, a Lactic Acid, which is their lactic acid with hyaluronic acid, 5% and 2%. And the reason I got this is because, again, I heard for nighttime this is a fantastic exfoliator. It is a liquid, there's no granules in it, it's not that kind of exfoliator. What lactic acid does is break down the dead skin cells on the surface of your skin, and then it will slough away in the morning if you use a toner or a face wash or something like that. And I thought this was wonderful, and I've been using this every single night since I got it, and I have repurchased that one since as well. I also bought the 100% organic cold pressed rosehip seed oil. Now, the reason that I purchased this was because I used and still use the Kiehl's Midnight Recovery Oil, which is the better part of £50 for, I think, the same size. I think for 30 mils. This is under £10, and I thought, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this one in place of that. And again, I did. I swapped it out. I have since went back to the Kiehl's Midnight Recovery Oil and used up what I had left. I think if somebody buys me the Kiehl's Midnight Recovery Oil as a gift, maybe at Christmas or something like that, or maybe I'm just feeling like I'm going to treat myself, I would repurchase that again. But in the meantime, I will use this. It's a fantastic oil for your face at night. Again, I have quite dry skin, so that suits me down to the ground. Somebody who's got oily skin might think the idea of using an oil on their face is awful, but actually it really benefits your skin, especially if you put it on before you go to your bed at night. As I say, under £10. Will definitely repurchase again once this one's finished, and it's probably about there just now. Fantastic. Can I just add, the thing with this is, I don't know if you can see the colour there. It's kind of the colour of straw, of urine. Let's face it. I have a white bedspread and white bed sheets, and I did notice staining on my pillow on the nights when I've used this, and I had to wash it. It came out, there's no problem, but maybe just a word of warning in case that would bother you. It has no smell, even though it's rose hip seed oil. I thought it would maybe have some sort of smell to it, but it literally just smells like oil. That maybe doesn't sound that alluring to some people, but it does. It just smells like an oil if you were to go and try and sniff your olive oil or your sunflower oil or something like that. It's not as strong as that, but it does just smell like an oil, which a lot of people quite like. They don't like heavily scented things on their face, especially at night. That's probably one of the reasons why I'd quite happily receive the Kiehl's oil again, because I like the scent of it. It makes me feel quite like it's time to get to sleep and go to bed. Anyway, I also ordered, in that second kind of purchase from The Ordinary, the Caffeine Solution 5%, which was to reduce the appearance of your eye contour puffiness and pigmentation. Again, this is in a UV bottle, and I have only used about half of this. I find you don't need to use a lot. What I do is, you'll see when I bring it up, there's quite a lot in there, but what I do is literally a few drops on my fingers, then pat them on my other ring fingers, and then pat round my eye. I'm not going to do it just now because I've got makeup on, but then pat it around about my orbital bone. And it's to reduce any puffiness and kind of pigmentation. I don't know if that means dark circles. I don't feel I've got terrible dark circles, but I do feel that it helped with any puffiness. This one I'm on the fence about if I would rebuy it. I've used half of it, and I don't see any dramatic change to my eyes, but then in thinking about it, I don't have terrible dark circles or puffiness at the moment. If I stopped using it, in 5 year time, will I have that? I don't know. You don't know these things. And therefore I think, well, I could use it in the hope that it is going to stop that and continue to use it. Or do I just stop because that will happen anyway? Or, you know, you don't know these things, so you have to just give things a try. I do feel it helps with puffiness though, and again, very affordable. So I'll see how I feel when we get to the end of this bottle. Again, I know for a fact when I go into the shop, they open on the 12th of October in the Fraser store in Glasgow, and I am unfortunately working that day, so I'll not be able to go to the launch. But I know for a fact when I go into the shop, I'll probably end up picking up lots more stuff than I've tried so far. The last order that I got from them, so in total since April I've ordered 3 times from them, either because I've used up the products or I want to try something new, but usually because I've used up something and I then order on top of that a little something new. So the last order I got was to order another buffet and another lactic acid and another retinol. Now, since I ordered the second time, the retinoid changed. So it used to be called the Advanced Retinoid 2% and it was in the emulsion. Since then, when I went onto the site, it was kind of my fault. I should have read into it a little bit better, but they've changed things so that the retinoid is not going to irritate your skin as much. They've put it in a different formulation so that it doesn't irritate your skin. When I read it, briefly read it, I read it as this formula won't irritate your skin, and I thought, well, that's the one I want to go for then. I also used to use the Advanced Retinoid 2%. Now they always done a 5%, and I thought I'm going to step up to the 5% because I've now been using that for so long. I'm sure my skin will manage to step up to the next level. Now I moved up to the 5% and ordered the Gran Active Retinoid 5% in squalene. That's it there. Now, this, it is my own fault. I should have read the site better. This does not come in the emulsion. Now, I'm sure if I'd ordered just the normal one at 5%, it would have came in the emulsion as I'd had before. But in my brain, when I read it, I just thought, something that's not going to irritate my face, I'll try that. Really, I should have just read into it a bit more. It's my fault. But this is in an like water-free oil-based solution. I'll just show you. So it is more of an oil, and the retinoid is in the oil. Now, I don't like this version. I will use it up, but the thing is, I already use an oil at night. As I said, I'd swapped in for my oil, and now I'm finding that I'm putting this on and then I'm not really needing to use my oil, and then some people might think, well, that's a good thing, two in one. But personally, I like the kind of steps I had, and now that the retinoid is in the oil version, I have to really let that soak in before I put another oil on top of my skin. So for me personally, the next time I order, I will order the Active Retinoid in emulsion again. I won't be ordering this one. Or when I go to the shop, I will go and get that instead of this. I will use this up. Again, very affordable. And probably people will love this. I'm just saying, me personally, it wasn't for me. I prefer the emulsion one. The emulsion one maybe was, reacting with a lot of people's skin and breaking them out, and maybe that's why they've then brought this one out, and people maybe will love it, but personally I just like the original one. I think that's it just now for all the ordinary stuff, and you should go and have a wee look in Fraser, see what you think. They're really affordable. It's a really good brand. Since April, have I noticed any big changes in my skin? I certainly think the texture of it I'm not one to get terrible breakouts that often, but I noticed that the texture of my skin is a lot smoother. Fine lines and wrinkles and things like that, I'm 31 now and I am getting them, but I'm hoping by using these products that will delay time slightly. Whether or not it does, I don't know, but I enjoy using these products, and I think given that I used to use kind of mid-range to high-end brands for skincare such as La Roche-Posay, Kiehl's, Avène, sometimes like Clinique, it really depends, but I used to use all these brands for skincare, and these are at a fraction of the cost and they have active ingredients in it. Would highly recommend this brand. I know it's been hyped up and this will not be the first video on this, but just given that they're going to launch on the 12th of October in Glasgow, and that's a Thursday and today is Monday? No, today is Tuesday. You should go down and check them out. Thanks for watching anyway. If you have, hopefully you'd like to catch up with me again sometime, and that's it. Thanks very much. Bye.